What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget.
What is going on, guys? It's Adam and Marf. Today's show is packed. We're going to go over everything that just happened. Of course, today is a very special day. I'll let you know why in just a second.
What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget.
Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research and consult professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. What is happening? My name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a lot to talk about today, but if you are new, of course, a lot of Foogle fam actually bring in other people from work, from, of course, school, from wherever you meet people. Thank you for everyone that brings somebody into this live show. We go over current events, we go over all sorts of things, and we try to back up everything we say. In fact, if you want to follow along on a second device, you can actually do so on our website, marfooglenews.com. You can grab, say, a phone or a tablet, and what you have to do is just look for today's thumbnail. When you see today's thumbnail, just click it. It will, of course, say what comes next, our next horizon. And then once you get there, you'll see all of the links, a bibliography of all of our sources, every piece of information that we're going to share here, including tweets, videos that we can't show that are copyrighted. Of course, you know, there's tons of stuff on there. So, and then on the bottom of this page is the web-only content. That's, you know, basically stuff that is too hot for TV is all down there. There's a lot of stuff that is absolutely nuts. We'll talk about this later. Absolutely insane stuff on there. But remember, there is an entire other show there. And on the right side of that page is, of course, all of our affiliates. If you want to do a PayPal during the show and have a statement said, you can do that over there on the right. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex. What is going on? And how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So today is a call-in show. If you would like to call in, the number is 224-400-MARF. That, of course, will actually be scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. Let me fix my mic here because it's a little bit off here. All right, that's better. All right, let's get straight into it. There's a lot of news. Remember, that number is scrolling down below. That is 224400MARF or 2244006273. Anything can happen. This is a live show, so remember that. Of course, New Orleans hit by looting in the wake of Hurricane Ida, including ATM thieves caught by drone. So lots of video that is coming out on Twitter, of course, of exactly what we were talking about last show. We were talking about, of course, what was going on and that they were telling people not to loot. But, of course, people did. They said that, you know, obviously they were expecting it, and now it is happening. It says that New Orleans is hit by looting in wake of Hurricane Ida, including ATM thieves caught in the act by a drone as city faces at least 3 weeks without electricity or air conditioning. I hope that we have Foogle fam that was actually watching there that has prepared for this. We tell people every week, we tell people all the time to have extra food, have extra water, to have extra everything because of something like this. This isn't, of course, you know, a world-ending event, but 3 weeks without power is absolutely disastrous. People will most likely perish because of this. 3 weeks is long enough to really cause havoc in a city. We know that if we did lose complete power in the entire country, that 90% of us would perish, and most of that is for the lack of clean water to drink. So that of course, is a study that was done if an EMP were to happen. how many of us would survive it, and it doesn't look good. Louisiana has been hit by looting in the wake of the Hurricane Ida, amid fears crime could spiral in New Orleans and other cities after energy suppliers warned that power will be out for around 3 weeks as utility crews work to restore more than 2,000 miles of downed energy lines across the state. It says a group of men were caught by drone camera trying to rob an ATM machine in the scorched remains of a market in the New Orleans neighborhood of St. Claude. In another incident, witnesses used their cell phone to record several people looting a store in New Orleans East. Looters often take advantage of disasters like Ida, and New Orleans is all too familiar with this is because it became a hotbed of criminal activity in the wake of Hurricane Katrina over 16 years ago. We have had one of our Foogle fam members that was from, of course, Louisiana, and actually went through Katrina. In fact, now she is Maud. Able-bodied down below did a call that was supposed to be 5 minutes, and it ended up being 45 minutes because she called in on her actual experience of martial law and how Hurricane Katrina was just a complete and utter disaster. With Katrina, which, some would say was worse because the levees broke and it was flooded and many people perished. There was no, it wasn't expected, so a lot of people ended up perishing because they didn't have supplies, they couldn't get medical help, they couldn't get a lot of things, and the response wasn't ready. We didn't have a response ready fast enough to save people in that situation. We don't know what the end result of Ida is going to be, but it's obviously extremely huge. And just that power outage by itself is an absolutely ginormous kind of event to tackle. So I'm praying for everybody there. I'm praying that a lot of the Foogle fam that lives there, that watches my show, just want to talk directly to you. I am really hoping that you're okay. If you make it through, you'll be much stronger. And I know that this is very hard times right now. But just remember to keep faith and to have faith that everything is going to get better. Objective Truth, Sound Minds, thank you for subscribing. John Harris, thank you as well for joining us. Jam Garner, thank you, 27, of course. We've got BCR fan, thank you. Joe Citizen, Brian William Thomas Whalen, all of you, thank you for being new Foogle fam members here. Okay, and it says, however, Mayor LaToya Cantrell said at a press conference Monday that the city is cracking down on looting and all offenders will be charged with a state felony. So it doesn't matter if you take, a $5 candy bar, they are charging you with a felony. Normally it would be, a minimum amount of money before it goes into felony. Apparently this, I believe, works to where if you are looting at all, you're going to get a felony. Police Chief Sean Ferguson added that the department deployed a group of, quote, anti-looting officers and is working with the Louisiana National Guard to protect businesses from looters. In previous situations, I don't know if you remember, we recently had an anniversary in New York where a section of town lost power, and it was actually on the anniversary of a previous power outage that I believe was in the 70s. And that power outage that happened, it happened in an area with all, basically family-owned businesses. And after just one night of no power, almost all of the family businesses that were on this main row ended up not coming back. None of them had insurance. It was kind of a block with, just all very tiny businesses. Back then, at that point, they didn't have insurance. Those businesses never came back. So just one night without power, it changed the history of that New York street. With this, is that going to be a similar situation with 3 weeks of no power? Do all of these businesses have insurance? We have no idea. And then Ida's aftermath, no power, no flights, scant drinking water. This is exactly why people end up perishing. It says New Orleans, Louisiana communities began the huge task of clearing debris and repairing the damage inflicted by Hurricane Ida are facing the dispiriting prospect of weeks without electricity and the oppressive late summer heat. That's another thing to add. It's hot. Ida ravaged the region's power grid, leaving all of New Orleans and hundreds of thousands of other Louisiana residents in the dark with no clear timeline on when the electricity would come back on. Some areas outside of New Orleans also suffered major flooding and damage to homes and businesses. This is a quote. It says, "I can't tell you when the power is going to be restored. I can't tell you when all the debris is going to be cleaned up and repairs made." That was, of course, Governor John Bell Edwards on Monday. It says, quote, "But I can tell you is we are going to work hard every day to deliver as much assistance as we can." The storm was blamed for at least 4 people that have perished so far in Louisiana and Mississippi, including 2 people taken Monday night, with 7 vehicles plunged into a 20-foot deep hole near Loosedale, Mississippi, where a highway had collapsed after torrential rains. So that is a very strange one as far as torrential rains, even if it's just coming down like crazy. How did the highway collapse? That seems like, obviously, that I wonder what, I bet you we're going to see an article that's going to come out later, and it's going to tell us that structural engineers have probably already checked that out. And they said that it was at high risk, and they didn't do anything about it because they probably put money into something else, like, the current event now, or they probably put it to give to, of course, changing the climate or something. I don't know. But of course, we're going to see, I bet you, structural engineers are going to say, "Oh yeah, we checked that out 3 months before this happened, and we predicted this." And of course, when this happened, it collapsed. So that's pretty bad. That's really screwed up, because it's like, that's not directly from something hitting them, a tree falling on them. That is from a man-made error, it sounds like. So what do you think about that? Put it in the comments down below. And then Objective, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for your support over on DLive. Everybody that's over there so far. Scooby-Doo right. Thank you, Lisa K23, for already popping in. Kishara, Mary X, Maui Racing Realtor. Of course, we've got Firefighter, R. Gonzalez. Thank you as well for being here. JFN57, and Deep State of Mind, and Biblical Smackdown is here. I don't think I've seen that one before. And then Kitty Mouse, thank you. Everybody that is regular watchers of the show over there, thank you guys for joining DLive. All right, and then we have SK, South Korea, bans Google, Apple payment monopolies. Pretty wild. It says, out of Seoul, South Korea, South Korea's National Assembly approved legislation on Tuesday that bans apps store operators such as the Blue and Apple from forcing developers to use their in-app payment systems. South Korea is reportedly the first country in the world to pass such a bill, which becomes law when it is signed by the president, whose party has backed the legislation. It says the tech giants have faced widespread criticism over their practice requiring app developers to use in-app purchasing system for which the companies receive commissions up to 30%. They basically rob people. It says they say the commissions help pay for the cost of maintaining the app markets. Now, Dex, later on you can respond. I know that you're probably on the phone trying to get people in, but I know that you have experience in that area, and I just wonder, do you think the 30% is actually, do you think they actually spend 30% of all of the money they take from people to manage that app program?
Well, ultimately that's up to, I sort of look at it as that's, up to the business to decide, what their costs are and what they're willing to charge. If they charge too much, people will leave. If they charge too little, then maybe they can't afford to manage it. But in this scenario, I know that a lot of people, especially developers, are really angry because they don't like paying that tax. But that is, that tax ultimately is for that platform. It's for the payments. It's for the managing of the transactions, the customer service that goes on with all of that financial portion of it. So I'm not trying to stick up for them or go against it. I'm just sort of explaining what it's there for and why it's there. But ultimately, a lot of developers don't like it because they think it's unfair. And a lot of people will go out of their way and not put features in an app. For example, you can't buy a book, an online, or a Kindle book in the Amazon app. And you can't buy it there because the only way to transact money in an app is through Apple, and they don't want to pay that commission. So they tell you, don't use the app, go to the website. So you open up the browser, then you can buy the book, then you can go back to the app, and then it'll show up, right? So it's like workarounds like that lots of developers are doing to avoid that tax. And that tax is on both platforms. It's not just Apple. It's the one I'm familiar with, but it's also on Google.
Well, all of them, I'm sure that adds up. If you look at every single app that uses that that in-house system, that is a ton of money on top of everything else they own, on top of all of the other businesses. You're talking about every single app around the world that's on that Play Store. It has to go through their payment system. Think about that. That is giant.
And to put it in perspective, I'll give you another example. If you were just, say, a retail store and you were on Amazon and you were selling products, you're paying Amazon to be in their environment, but they only charge 15%. So you can see, there's varying degrees where people will pay and what platforms charge for using their platform. eBay is the same way. It has a fee when you make a listing. It has a fee when you close out a sale, and it usually comes out around that 15% mark, give or take a couple of percentages based on the type of transaction. So that tends to be the area. So when you see these more premium platforms like Apple and Google at 30%, that's why a lot of people probably have heartburn with it.
Yep, and of course you can't really get out along without it. If you do have an app that you want to get to the major people, you have to use it. People ask why don't they've asked before, why don't you go to other platforms, cut this one out or anyone out. That's the thing. If you want to reach people, I mean, how are you're going to be where the people are? And unfortunately, it would be crazy if tomorrow just everybody flipped over to another one. But that, why that doesn't happen is because there hasn't been one that has had the chance. The reason why is because of these very things. So if you want an app, so just say DLive, for example, DLive is actually successful in a lot of ways compared to a lot of the other ones. I think there was like Logfire or Spitfire or whatever, the couple of apps. People said that early on when they started, developing, when they put it out, that there were all these negative reviews. And a lot of people wondered where all these negative reviews came from. By the thousands, people were saying that it was bad. It just seemed like out of place. One of those apps actually accused one of the big daddy ones of actually sending, basically bots over to make it look bad. Not saying it did, but again, that's what it's been accused of time and time again. Or they have less, search results on the big daddy engine. So if you have thoughts on it, let me know in the comments down below. Remember, you can call in at 224-400-MARF. It looks like we already have Bob on the line, so we'll get him in just a second. First, though, Chinese engineers shot down a large drone using an electromagnetic pulse. A group of Chinese engineers brought down a large unmanned aircraft using a new electromagnetic pulse type weapon, in that it could be China's first test of EMP weaponry. First reported by the South China Morning Post, the test reportedly concentrated a powerful beam of electromagnetic energy at the aircraft during a flight at 1,500 meters, or nearly 5,000 feet in altitude. According to the report, the aircraft behaved unexpectedly after an EMP beam struck the aircraft. The aircraft did not drop immediately, but veered abruptly from one side to another for a period. And then it says flight data and analysis of debris recovered from the crash site, so obviously it crashed, suggested that the sensitive electronic devices, including its satellite navigation system, cryoscope, accelerometer, barometric altimeter, and communication device, had not been damaged. The battery and motors also functioned properly until collision. It says, in all likelihood, the aircraft's flight control system malfunctioned, issuing an error control command. An engineer involved with the live fire event explained. So their whatever they were testing basically didn't work as they expected, but it worked. It worked in a way. It basically did the job, but it barely didn't. It says, unlike kinetic or explosive weapons, electromagnetic pulse type weapons rely on frying electrical systems, rendering them useless. Thus, airplanes, drones, trucks, anything that relies on onboard electronics are vulnerable unless specifically hardened against EMP threats. It says, although not the same kind of weapon, the United States has made progress in recent years developing a laser-type weapon, going as far to arm some active-duty Navy ships with laser prototype while on patrol. Unlike EMPs, laser weapons rely on intensely focused energy like microwave or particles. though both require huge amounts of energy to be generated to be effective. EMPs are often associated with nuclear weapons, as large as electromagnetic pulses are a byproduct of nuclear explosions. According to the report, the world's highest recorded power output for an EMP-type weapon is around 20 gigawatts, though the maximum output may be as high as 80 gigawatts. So it actually talks about Thor here. It says the United States Air Force Research Laboratory's Tactical High Power Operational Responder, or Thor, is one American EMP weapon. The United States Flying Branch is developing Thor not as a precise offensive weapon, but rather as a counter-swarm EMP intended to defend air bases from swarms of drone threats using high-power microwaves. So right here, this tells us what they are actually worried about. In one sense, they are talking about these drone swarms, and we've shown you there's actually been a lot of course, I wouldn't even call it predictive programming. It's just programming showing the next wave of what the weapon systems are going to look like. There was, what was it? One of those America Has Fallen, or The White House Has Fallen, or whatever. The Gerard Butler films, the latest one. The Eagle Has Fallen, whatever. There's like 4 of them now. The latest one shows a scene where they're at the lake with the president in the movie, and at the other side of the lake, this is straight out of like what we've seen on the internet as like these digital animations of these container nuke missile things. It basically drives up, the back of the container truck opens up, and it has all of these holes, kind of like a firework with, one of those cake fireworks. It opens up, and then it launches about 60 of these drones. These drones launch out like planes. They open their wings, and then they have AI on board, and they actually target each and every person in the scene. Now, that was a fictional movie, but that actual device, that is real. I don't know, obviously they probably flubbed up whatever with CGI in that movie, but that's a real thing. Those are going to be in the next conflict. If we have a World War III, it will involve those, many of those. China is now mass producing drones, and we're not talking about the typical Predator drone. We're talking about these little tiny drones with horrible, horrible weapons on them, and possibly even lasers, now that we've covered some of their scientific advancements as far as their R&D team in China. So we're talking about something that can shoot, say, 100 drones, each having AI, each having facial recognition, each having highly advanced camera gear on it, and then searching out people. And this is what's really crazy. Think about how China has basically farmed all of our faces from social media, how they have hacked every one of our files at this point. We've been covering this, that basically all of these apps that were from China and connected to the government, they were basically farming this information, getting every angle of our faces, now to the point where they've taken so many faces, now they have an AI system that creates new ones out of, specks of everybody. So that's how they say that they're making this AI, NPC fake accounts that look real. But think about, they have everybody's information. They send hundreds of thousands of these. They know who's important. They know who's not. They know who's an enemy. They know who's, anti this, anti that. They know everything. And these drones will have access to all of that. And it makes me think why they're putting up more structures and more and more and more in space, because they're going to need something to run those drones, some satellite that's separate from the United States and separate from everything else, that they can, supply energy and information to these things. I don't know if you have anything to say on this, Dex, but if you want to go back to it, you can. We'll get Bob on here in just a second, but I do want to remind you, we've shown you the information based on this, and I hope that everybody ends up going over and checking this out. Emp Shield is our affiliate, but they are also a device and a company that we believe in, and we thoroughly believe that we may end up saving lives in the end. EMP is something that the United States is now preparing for. And not only that, we are finding out more information, and I'm sure in the next year we're going to have more to show you about how our allies are actually preparing for the same. Emp Shield is not only a company that has worked with DHS, Department of Homeland Security, DOD. Now they are on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. This is a company that makes devices that can protect you against all three phases of an EMP. So if you actually want to prepare against something like this, you would want to go with one of the best. This is Keystone military tested and military used. Again, all three phases, and it can protect you against the natural kind. They say we are overdue for another Carrington-like event. Carrington event knocked out huge swaths of power. It basically surged every telegram machine around the country. And I know I'm brain farting on that, but again, it ended up surging the planet, and then we didn't have all of the sensitive equipment that we have now. So we believe that, this is of course an affiliate, so it ends up giving us a small commission. We end up believing that, this is something we feel confident about actually doing. We will not do a product unless we firmly believe it will help people. And you guys know that from the past of any product that we've had, we think that it will either help your health, that it will save your health, or it will make your life easier. I wouldn't pick something that I didn't use. The car version is easy to put in. It takes honestly 5 to 10 minutes to put in. Somebody commented and they go, "Oh, last time you said it took you 7 minutes and it took you 11 minutes. To be honest, I didn't time it, but it was under 15 minutes and it was more than 5. It was super easy to put in my car, and it will now protect. So if I'm out and about and my family's at home, I know that I'll be able to get home after multiple EMPs. They come in pulses. So again, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, you will not only help the channel, but you'll also get a huge $50 off discount per device, and it will stack on any sale that they are currently running. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, let's get our first caller on, and then we're going to talk about the T-Band fighters pose for photo shoots at the demilitarized U.S. equipment left in Afghanistan. I like how they put that in there. Demilitarized. Dex, let's get Bob on, first-time caller, and it looks like Bob is from South Dakota and a former Marine. Hi, Bob. You are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Well, I'm just actually watching you guys on the internet. So we're just going with the flow.
All right. So I guess you wanted to talk about Afghanistan and the way that they pulled out and people that they left behind.
Yeah. I'm an old Marine from back in the 80s and the early 90s. Shield, Storm, and a few other operations I was on. And it's kind of pitiful that we're seeing what we're seeing right now. It's kind of sad. And the message I want to put out to those younger individuals, those veterans that served and did their duty in their honor, don't let this destroy you or hurt you. It's not your doing. You did what you did with honor and dignity.
Well, I agree with that.
And this thing of $86 billion to $90 billion worth of weaponry, that's pitiful. That's the money that we paid as taxpayers and as members of the society to the government, and for them just to throw that away is bad.
Do you think
really bad?
Do you think it's so bad that it was almost on purpose? Coming from a military background, do you think that this was even possible with the power and the might of the U.S. Military?
It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad to say if other people have to go in there, say people like myself would volunteer to go and help those people that are left behind, that we would be facing the equipment that we were trained with, that we know about. We'd be facing that equipment, and our odds of survival would be reduced a lot.
Well,
and to give that over is bad.
Well, and think about think about how much they did with primitive 1960s equipment. Think about what they did with homemade IEDs, and then now think about them with Blackhawks, with Predator drones, with jet planes, with everything. I mean, and hardened vehicles that they didn't have access to. Now they have 75,000 vehicles. Think about if we had to go back in there to fight them now. Now they have all of our gear. They have everything we brought to fight them, and we were still having a hard time fighting them. Much like in Vietnam, where we were not on our own ground, they had the home field advantage. Now they have the home field advantage, and they have 75,000 vehicles, including hardened military, bulletproof, and bomb resistant vehicles. This is insane.
No, you're right on the money. You're right on the money. And this is bothering a lot of veterans, a lot of Gold Star families right now, to the point, I'm old enough. I have 5 daughters. They're all adults. I have grandchildren. And to see what is left there and how it was done and how it's affecting these younger veterans that gave so much. I mean, it's a terrible thing to have to watch when somebody next to you falls. And I'm saying fallen. You never forget that. And it lives with you for the rest of your days. And these younger veterans, they know this. And to see them go through what they're going through right now, it's just downright pitiful, and it's wrong.
Well, and
I'm trying to keep it nice and not say the words that get you guys in trouble or anything, but a lot of older vets, and I'm not talking just my generation, I'm talking older vets than myself, are thinking the same things that these younger vets are thinking right now. And a lot of us are reaching out and trying to help these guys and gals, because it is not a good feeling to have when you see what we have seen in the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months. Heck, the last year and a half has been interesting. But to see this now happen on top of everything, you just wonder what the heck is going on.
Well, also think about what you said when someone drops next to you, when you see your best friend or your brother essentially perish right next to you. Now think about that. Say you served years or any amount of time, your best friend, your brother, or anybody perished right next to you, and then now, fast forward, it was all for nothing. On top of that, you armed and actually gave them gifts. I would think that would be extremely hard, and I think that's what you're saying, that a lot of these young men are feeling, and a lot of them that do have PTSD and that have extremely hard problems from what they went and fought for and what they sacrificed. Some of them lost limbs, some of them lost friends, some of them even lost family, and now it's all for nothing.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that a lot of them it's going to affect them in ways that it's just downright wrong. And to watch what's going on and to see I'll put it this way, the people in Washington, D.C., I call that place Clownville for a reason, with no disrespect to anybody, but that's what I call it. To have that done to these young people and the people that are in uniform now, it's just wrong. Just really wrong. And I'm the 11th child of a large family. My parents lived through World War II, and they were of the older generation. Our values were taught the same in all of us, all 11 of us. And I just watch this happen in front of you is so sad and just so wrong. That flag means so much more.
Well, Bob, I appreciate that you understand it, and thank you so much for your sacrifice for this country. There are a lot of people that say that, again, but I really mean it, and I do appreciate it. And a lot of us and a lot of the Foogle fam, they do realize what you have done and what all of these young men have done, and just know that it's not completely in vain, because you did it for You did it for people like us that actually respect and understand what you did. So thank you, Bob. I appreciate your service.
Well, I thank you for that. And just to the Marines out there that are listening to you and watching you, Sumter Fi, my brothers and sisters. Sumter Fi.
Well, perfect place to leave at. Thank you so much for calling in, Bob. You have a wonderful night. God bless you, and thank you again for your sacrifice. That was Bob from South Dakota, a former vet. Of course, we have a ton of Marines and ex-Marines, ex-Navy, ex-Air Force veterans that watch this show. And to all of you, I hope that resonates with you. I just really hope that you know that a lot of us that did not serve really do appreciate, and it means something to us. That's no joke. I really can't stand when I see videos, everybody's basically doing these interviews on the street and asking people if they're proud to be American or they're proud to be this, and they say no. In fact, they say, I think really some of them are, but they're just such followers that they say they're not because they don't want to be canceled or they don't want to be judged. Absolutely disgusting show. Even if you're not proud, then just don't say anything. It's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Cynthia Lynn, thank you so much. Cynthia Lynn just busted into D-Live with a Ninjet. Thank you, Cynthia Lynn. Again, you've been on that leaderboard. You've been in that group, the very small group of people that have done Ninjets. It's the highest compliment you can bestow on somebody on D-Live. Thank you so much, Cynthia Lynn. That is appreciated. Same with Gone Girl 5777. Says, have faith. Gone Girl, I hope you're doing okay, and I hope that you had a good time at Sturgis and everything is good with you. I actually saw the link you sent me, and it would not load, and I wanted to see it. It's a Rumble video, and I don't know what it is. So if you can, just make sure you check that link and send it to me again so I can watch it. JFN57, thank you for the Ninja Genie. I really appreciate that. Island by the Sea, and of course, Scooby-Doo Do Right. Vault 11. Again, says, I got a new job. I'm always watching. Once I have a better schedule, I'm going to stream again. Love you all. Vault, I hope you don't give up. I will host you again. Again, that's, you try to coordinate at least once a week. We could try to host you. I think that you are very musically talented, and I think you shouldn't give up. Lisa K23, again, you can find any time of the day. If you're after work, just get on for 30 minutes and hang out. Lisa K23 says, I have to catch the replay. Getting up early. Great show and great car show. Speaking about that, thank you. Gone Girl 777, thank you. AR-15, tornado threats in Virginia from Ida. From 200 to 250 Afghan people at Fort Lee in Virginia. In fact, they're in multiple states now. We're going to cover that in the next couple days. Delaware Sasquatch Gone Girl 777 says, hi, Foogle fam. Nice to see everyone who loves Adam, Dex, and mods. This is the best group of people. You guys are the best group of people, honestly. In my world, in my world, I cannot say how many times someone from this group has directly affected my life as far as the things they say, their opinions, their advice. Just the other day when I was feeling sick, somebody gave me advice on thieves oil, and I ended up taking thieves oil, and it made my stomach better. Like, just real life and digitally, you guys affect me a lot. So thank you so much. We'll hit the YouTube people in just a second. Thank you so much. And then the T-Ban, of course, demand U.S. diplomats. But first, of course, there's pictures showing all of these demilitarized zones. Now, they say that, this headline got out there and it got into people's heads. It says the T-Ban fighters pose for photo shoots at the demilitarized U.S. equipment left in Afghanistan. Now, Dex, this is just the stuff that they left at the actual airport. Is that correct? Or just in general? Because isn't a lot of this actually useful? I mean, you would think that they would even be able to hack some of the stuff that did get demilitarized or whatever.
Right. I think a lot of this is at the airport, but it's presumably there's lots of similar type images like this, or at least the opportunity based on all the other equipment and all the other locations. Yeah,
well, and yeah, like, so this headline goes out and then people go, oh, well, don't worry, all that stuff that was left there was demilitarized, or it was deemed, useless or whatever. They turned it off, or they switched the off switch on it, on a lot of the digital stuff. That's only at the airport. All of the other stuff they got to and they were able to get into. It doesn't matter if it was password protected or whatever. People think that there's just all backwards people. There are hackers. There's all sorts of people that are in those groups of people. And if not, they can kidnap somebody and make them do it. They have. In fact, we've covered that story multiple times in the last 3 years. So as far as like kidnapping an American, agent and then making them saying, we're going to take you and your entire family if you don't hack this for us, and they do it. That's happened.
I think one of the real threats we're going to see out of this is when this equipment, or the people wearing our equipment that look like us, or at least in the appearance of their uniforms look like us, actually perform or do something somewhere else in the ME, right? Whether it's another country or even in this country, but they make it look like it was us, right? And what is going to come of that?
Yeah, exactly. Think about the FF they could do. Look at WW2, where Germany dressed up as Polish soldiers and ended up throwing an explosive device into a school and taking things out. That got the support of the people, and the people said, "This is just absolutely horrible. We want to take all those people out." What it really was is them dressing as the other soldiers. Think about them dressing up in our gear and doing something in another place. That less of a worry as much as, again, like the last caller talked about, it's what we talked about as far as you going back in there. So say if we did have to go to conflict with them again and send our troops in, now they have all of the gear as far as bulletproof vests and armor and all of these things that a lot of them didn't have. We had an easier time because we're fighting people that had, just street clothes on. Now they are actually going to have American quality gear, bulletproof vests, night vision, everything. In fact, if they had night vision in previous battles, because there's already famous battles from Afghanistan over the last 20 years, it would have changed the outcome. There were some scenarios where it was, 20 on 3,000, and, they ended up surviving because they had night vision and the enemy didn't. Now they have night vision. I mean, this is just absurd, and I don't think people should forget about this. Desiree Miller, thank you so much again for the super chat and the fox emoji there. Someone made a deal to backstab our country, dude. That's all there is to it. I think was by Dan or someone on that side that then they gave names. Dogecoin Economy just said. Again, Dogecoin, I agree with you, and right there with you. Gunpowder Production says YouTuber Monkeyworks keeps track of all current military flights, especially Afghanistan. Now, B Admin told T-Ban to not assist private military contracts trying to evac Americans. Rumors of China invading Afghanistan. Like I said, it sounds cliche, but I wouldn't be surprised. And if you look at what is happening in the next year, new currency coming out from China, something is going down right now as far as China is supposedly going to come out with a new gold-backed kind of blockchain currency. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. We'll talk about it later, but as far as the World Economic Forum, they're straight up calling it publicly. This is a great reset. Open Truth Ministry says, Jesus Forged Drones, flawless victory. Jesus wins. I love that you used flawless victory. I just have Mortal Kombat in my brain. Service animals were also left behind by the bee admin. Tons of kennels. Well, they can sleep in them, I guess. James Fox and again Granny C says, be prepped up, prayed up. Much love to the Foogle fam. Lori Byington Carson says, miss you, Marf, never miss a show. Finally caught you live. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you. Egg Roll, I appreciate you. Catherine Wilson and Veteran Steve. I'll get to you guys later. And then we have T-Ban demands U.S. diplomats return to Kabul. Man, it says T-Ban officials expect President JB to reopen the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, despite U.S. insistence that future diplomatic relations will depend on the T-ban behavior. It says, quote, America should have only a diplomatic presence in Kabul, T-ban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said on Tuesday, per an Afghan media outlet. It says, quote, we have communication channels with them, and we expect to reopen their embassy in Kabul. And we also want to have trade relations with them. It says...
Yeah, I bet they want all the handouts and everything else that, we give to, say, Pakistan or other countries.
Yeah, why don't we send them some gift baskets, too? Secretary of State Anthony Blinken hopes that the T-ban will be introduced to allow safe passage for Americans still in the country and curtail their abuses of human rights. But the administration maintains that it is not taking the militants' promises at face value. The withdrawal and relocation of American diplomats from Kabul to Qatar, the Gulf Emirate that also hosts the headquarters of the U.S. Central Command, who orchestrated the evacuation from the Kabul airport, was offered the most visible sign of that distrust. It says, quote, given the uncertain security environment and political situation in Afghanistan, it was prudent step to take. Blinken said Tuesday evening, for the time being, we will use this post in Doha to manage our diplomacy with Afghanistan, including consular affairs, administering humanitarian assistance, and working with allies, partners, and regional and international stakeholders to coordinate our engagement and messaging to the T-ban. And this is the craziest part. Just this sentence that's in the middle of here. It says Blinken outlines path for legitimacy for the T-ban, right? How do you tell how are we ever going to say the T-ban, right? And say this is a country, right? This is the rulers of that country. This isn't a government. This is straight up a terrorist organization. The world is the Twilight Zone right now. It is literally a Twilight Zone. It says, quote, the T-ban is already noting the different response from most of the international community as compared to the first time. An Indo-Pacific intelligence officer said, I get a feeling that the T-ban senses that recognition in some form or other is inevitable. I would be happy to be proven wrong. The collapse of the Afghan central government in the face of the T-ban onslaught has raised fears in neighboring states and Europe that Afghanistan will give rise to a refugee crisis and a new surge in terror threats. So this is literally something that is going to be in the news over the next few years. This is something that is now going to change the actual look of our media. We are now going to be back to 15 years ago where we're constantly going to be on the lookout. I almost think that we'll probably come up with a new alert system. They'll probably come up with the red, yellow, and whatever. But wait, that's probably not until after a big event happens that it all switches back to that. At the same very time, we have the current event changing the entire world, all of the governments working together on one thing, but then, of course, fighting on others. There is evidence that China is not only, by the way, everybody that was talking about how China is so backwards and they're so behind and the American government is the biggest and baddest, that was before, I think, my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, that we were infiltrated and demolished from the interior out. And it wasn't just China, it was the entire world. They are working on a new system. The backward system that we were at, the upside down pyramid of debt that we were in, is now at its end. So they are trying to basically reset all infrastructure of everything in the world. And to do that and to get people's support, the 8 billion people nearly on the planet, they're going to have to do some serious stuff. So I am going to prepare myself and my family for just any kind of event that might come our way. And that's why I say I hope that all of you do too. The Taliban say that all the right words for now. They will not allow the use of their territory for key activities towards the east in Xinjiang or toward the north in Central Asia. Oh, huh. So they won't do anything towards those guys up there. Well, that's reassuring. And then last troops exit Afghanistan, ending America's longest conflict. It said the United States has completed its withdrawal from Afghanistan, ending America's longest conflict and closing a chapter in military history likely to be remembered for colossal failures, unfulfilled promises, and frantic final exit that cost the lives of more than 180 Afghans and 13 U.S. service members, some barely older than the conflict itself. Hours ahead of President JB's Tuesday deadline for shutting down a final airlift and thus ending the U.S. conflict the U.S. conflict, Air Force transport planes carried a remaining contingent of troops from Kabul airport late Monday. Thousands of troops had spent a harrowing 2 weeks protecting the airlift of tens of thousands of Afghans, Americans, and others seeking to escape the country once again, ruled by Taliban militants. Which even the Taliban leader or the spokesperson said, he goes, "How do you think we could have done this, took over the whole country in 11 days if the country didn't support us?" When he said that, I thought in my head, I'm thinking, which country? Your own or other countries? And the interview I'm talking about is the Australia 60-minute interview that basically talks to the spokesman, and she is accusing them of being this, and that, and then they come back and they go, "Oh, how do you think we did? Our country supported our ruling the country." I question that maybe, yes, some of the men in that country actually might have supported that because they wanted to go back to the old ways of their structure and no rights for certain people and things like that, maybe. Or did they have the support of a big country? Are they possibly in cahoots with other countries that somehow allowed them to take back the country in 11 days? How did an unorganized group of, primitive weapon-carrying people that have basically scraps for weapons beat the 300,000 plus troops that were set up over 20 years? Smells fishy. And then the Al-Q kingpin resurfaces in Afghanistan, surrounded by Taliban security. Huh. Dex. What? What?
Imagine that.
What? No. No way.
Who else is going to be uncovered and appear from out of nowhere?
Osama. Maybe he'll swim up to the beach and he'll go, "Oh, I landed on an island, and this girl Moana came and she saved me. We went and grabbed my my magic hook and now I'm back. My magic hookah." That was a Moana reference. Yeah. Osama bin Laden. Amid al-Haq's reappearance under the Taliban protection highlights concerns about the U.S. government's remote counter-T strategy going forward. Oh, yeah. Great. We just gave the Al-Q 75,000 weapons. At the same time, I'm sorry, actually 600,000 small weapons. 75,000 vehicles, $90 billion worth of gear, Black Hawk helicopters, jet planes. Hell, give them everything. It says a video has emerged online that today reportedly shows the Dr. Amin al-Haq, who served for a time as the personal security chief for the founder OBL. And we'll call him OBL for now, okay? Yeah. Isn't that just convenient? Traveling in the open in Afghanistan for the first time in a decade with a Taliban escort. So wait, he has been on the target list for a decade and somehow has survived? And now all of a sudden, since it's all cool people, he's like, cool, I can walk on the street again. No American snipers. This is absolutely absurd. It says, if the description of this video is accurate, it can only raise questions about the current relationship between the T-Band and Al-Q, and whether the former group will again give the latter safe haven in the country. Yeah, that kind of looks like it. In fact, he's driving in a nice, what is that, like a nice Lexus or something? What a surprise.
Hey, Adam, we have breaking news if you want to grab it out of Screener.
All right, perfect. By the way, Gone Girl, thank you for your support on PayPal. I appreciate that. Again, thank you for popping in tonight. Okay, hold on. No, wow. Okay, this is breaking news as we speak. Navy helicopter crashes off of San Diego coast. Search is underway right now as we speak. So let's see here. Oh, man, oh, man. And let's see. All right, so it says Navy helicopter crashes off of San Diego coast. Search underway for crew. Very, very creepy here because obviously there is a lot of chatter on the internet that something is going to be going down in the next few days, right? It says an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter takes off from the flight deck. This is apparently the kind of helicopter it is. It says the MH-60S helicopter was operating off the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln when it crashed Tuesday afternoon, the Navy says. Did it crash? Just, I guess we'll find out. A U.S. Navy helicopter crashed into the ocean off the coast of San Diego Tuesday afternoon. The search for its crew is ongoing. The MH-60 was operating off of the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, conducting routine flight operations. The crash occurred 60 nautical miles from shore. A Navy spokesman declined to say Tuesday evening how many sailors were on board, how many are missing, and whether anyone has been recovered. Search and rescue operations from the air and sea are ongoing, involving multiple Coast Guard and Navy assets, the Navy said. So, again, we'll update it as it comes, but I wonder what strange facts will come along with this. Dex, do you... we've covered things like this, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and by the way, there was a very special general on board, or there was, somebody doing a tour, or there was a politician that just happened to be doing a tour of the Navy, or, some crazy thing.
Well, and those have always been rumored too to be potential cover stories for people that have fallen in other ways that they can't admit publicly, right? That's just a rumor. It's not a rumor on this. That's a rumor on prior helicopter crashes that tends to go around in the different rabbit holes.
Yep. As far as it's a perfect way to kind of lose something permanently and nobody goes looking because it's in the ocean, that kind of thing. Huh. Well, actually, that sounds familiar. Goes in the ocean, no evidence it ever happened, no pictures, no video, no place to be a martyr. Where did that come from? We will see. We're going to get our next caller on. China protests U.S. Navy and Coast Guard in Taiwan Strait. Nothing new there, but again, a little bit of a twist here. Let's get our next caller on. It looks like we have Ryan, first-time caller, talking about food shortages and an update from New Mexico. Let's get Ryan on the phone. Ryan, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hello.
Ryan, what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Oh. I was just going to fill you in on the dairies down here. Y'all were talking about the farmers having to store their crops and stuff. They're destroying the milk at the dairies as well down here.
Now, you say you've seen it, or?
No, I have a friend that works with them.
And you're saying that they have to destroy their crops? Is that what you're saying?
No, the dairies are destroying them. They're not even getting to sell locally for some reason.
And why is this? Is this regarding?
Well, their main place they sell it to is like Walmart or the schools, and from what I've heard is like they are just being told that they can't accept them. You know, their contracts were turned down.
Now, what is the reason they're giving them to what is the reason? Do you know what the reason that they are giving them of why they won't accept it or why they're telling them to do this?
From what I know, they don't even give them a reason. They're just pretty much demanding it. You know, it's what they're told to do.
Dex, I'm
not even sure they're getting compensated.
Dex, do you again? Is this referencing a story that we've actually covered? Because it sounds familiar as far as an update to New Mexico.
We've talked about the rumors going around about the different farmers around America claiming that they're having to, get paid to destroy a crop or not get subsidies or get paid 1.5 times. This is the first I've heard of dairy farmers in the last, week or two, but we've heard about them in the past. During last year, during the middle of some of the higher points of CV, where there was a lot of milk being destroyed or because it couldn't be used.
Yeah, it all started up whenever all that stuff about Bill Gates buying up all the farmland. It kind of started around that same time. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but
so we do have multiple stories I guess behind this, and there's several other places that are doing the same. But it says dumped milk, smashed eggs, plowed vegetables, and this was as far back as April 2020. So this is something that's ongoing. They're telling them, that.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible, because you can't stop farming it. You can't stop doing those crops. But then when you can't deliver it, or for some reason they're not allowing you to, or not renewing contracts, you're thus dumping thousands of dollars worth of, or millions of dollars worth of food. That's insane.
Yeah, and they're doing it on purpose so they can, they'll have to, give it the farm pretty much, or their dairy or whatever, and then who else would come in and swoop all that up by the, bottom dollar?
Yeah, somebody that probably is owned by some of these conglomerates that own everything else. Basically destroy their wealth and then buy them up at nothing. And of course, somebody like Gilly Bates could walk in, and then when they go bankrupt, they buy the farm at almost nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
Now,
sorry about that.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say that the next town over from where I live, they're flying the Afghans in there. Also, Carlsbad, New Mexico, is going to be one of the places they're bringing them.
It seems like almost every state is having these refugees come in by the hundreds. Pretty wild. Well, is there one more thing you want to say before you go?
Oh, no, that's all.
All right.
I just wanted to say thanks and nice to meet you.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan, for giving us an update. Again, New Mexico smashing eggs, dumping stuff, everything else. He says that his friend actually said that it is happening currently. So, again, testimonial from someone in New Mexico. I do believe it just because we've seen this. We covered this prior. We've covered many cases of this in many states, and there are probably farmers in the Fugel fam right now that could confirm it. If you are a farmer and this has happened to you, please send us information on this. Send us the letters from these companies. Send us what happened. Send us video. Send us audio. We'll play it. I think that's a bigger story than most people realize. And the thing is it's not something that grabs, the mainstream media's eyes. They won't sit there and talk about it for weeks, right? But it's probably one of the most important, and, this is changing our complete economy. This is part of the reset. And then, of course, we have China protests U.S. Navy and Coast Guard in the Taiwan Strait. It says China issued a statement protesting the U.S. Navy and Coast Guard's joint transit of the Taiwan Strait. The U.S., of course, authorities highlighted that the vessels were operating in international water following international law in actions which are seen as by many as an exercise at showing the flag of support for Taiwan and responding to recent Chinese excursions in the region. It says, quote, "We express firm opposition and strong condemnation," the Chinese statement said, according to the reports by the Associated Press. The Chinese Defense Ministry expressed its concern over the recent U.S. actions protesting the transit of the Taiwan Strait by the guided missile destroyer USS Kidd, which was joined by the U.S. The Coast Guard cutter Monroe after completing joint exercises with the Japan Coast Guard. It says the two U.S. vessels sailed the 100-mile strait that separates Taiwan from the mainland of China. The U.S. Navy also broadly issued photos of the transit along with a brief press release. It says, quote, "The ship's lawful transit through the Taiwan Strait demonstrates the U.S. commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. The United States military flies, sails, and operates anywhere international law allows," the release read. So they're saying that they're basically going through international places, but at the same time they were drilling or exercising with Japan. Japan is openly and loudly saying, we are going to protect Taiwan. We're doing it secretly for some reason, or we're not being loud and proud about it, which is just super weird to me. The U.S., America the Great, is not sticking up for democracy. And we won't even be caught dead tweeting something from the official White House account to make China mad. I understand not doing fighting words, not doing something that could cause a conflict, but as far as calling Taiwan a country, that is a actual sin and something that could start a conflict over. That's cuckoo. That's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So, and then new Chinese law requires foreign vessels to report to maritime authorities when entering waters. China has long struggled to exert control over the large parts of the South China Sea, it claims, including by erecting floating radar station and dredging the seafloor to expand the waterway's tiny islands. However, so have several other nations, many of which claim the same islands and waters. Foreign vessels entering Chinese territorial waters will be required to report their ship and cargo information to the country's maritime authorities if they are carrying hazardous cargo or pose a threat to maritime traffic safety, beginning on September 1st. It says the new regulation is the product of revisions to the maritime traffic safety law made in April by the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, a legislative body that remains in session while the larger Congress is not. According to the South China Morning Post, which viewed the agency's recent notice on the change, affected vessels including ships carrying radioactive material, bulk oil, chemical, liquefied natural gas, and other toxic and harmful substances, as well as all submersibles, so submarine, nuclear-powered vessels, or vessels considered a threat to the country's maritime traffic safety. Dex, this includes nuclear subs, so what are they going to pop up and go, by the way, we're sneaking around?
Yeah, so basically they want everyone to check in. They control it, they own it, they say, hey, we're now in charge. We've put our foot down. If you're coming through this area, you're going to check in with us.
Or what?
Right? Well, yeah, or what? It's exactly what it's going to be interesting to see who abides by this. I mean, you're going through there underwater in a nuclear powered sub and you're going to check in with them. Don't think so.
Yeah, you're going to, hi, China. We were sneaking around looking at your coastline. Okay, we're gone. Don't think so. I can already see the reports we're going to see are China accusing us of having our submarines go through there on September 1st or September 2nd. We're going to see them say the U.S. went in our area with nuclear or with harmful stuff, and they're going to say that, of course, we didn't check in with them. This is going to be an article every other day, I bet. After September 1st, we're going to be covering it every other day. I almost bet. In fact, we'll probably cover it so many times that we'll probably leave it out every other day. First autonomous cargo ship faces test with 236-mile voyage. Okay, so remember that all of these careers we've talked about are all disappearing to autonomous versions of themselves. So, of course, you used to have small, companies that would go into grocery stores and polish your floors. Well, now you have a robot to do that. Very, very sometimes you might see somebody sitting on top of that robot, but here and many other places, they just literally have a robot that polishes the floors at night, and it goes off all by itself with camera systems and radar. Truck driving, very great career you can actually make a living off of. They are testing these autonomous trucks as far as they can go across the country without a single driver, nobody to pay, no labor, no overtime, no nothing. No mileage, whatever. You just buy the truck and boom, it's gone. Not to mention, once you get that going, you can get 20 trucks driving an inch away from each other in convoys and even save on gas. This is what they've been testing. This is what they're doing. Pilots, we've seen an automated pilot machine that was placed into the actual cockpit of a regular plane, not a special plane that was made to be autonomous, but a regular plane with a machine that basically had robot arms and had AI, and it was able to fly a plane from one place to another, therefore replacing another career that would actually be livable. These middle-class jobs that you can buy a house on if you save right? That, in the future, replaced. Bus driving, anything you can think of, there's most likely a robot for. Even minimum wage jobs like flipping burgers, they have created robots to do that, and very soon that will happen. So what happens when we create a robot that basically replaces almost every single job? Well, you could say, well, if you're an engineer or somebody who fixes those robots, that would probably be a secure place of employment. Oh, but wait, they've even come out with robots that fix other robots. So eventually, what do we do? And this is a serious question. What do we do when almost all the jobs that are around right now, almost anything you can think of, is actually taken? Now we're talking about incredible, huge ships could be autonomous. It says in just 2 decades from now, half of all domestic ships plying Japan's coastal waters may be piloting themselves. That's the ambitious goal of the Nippon Foundation, a public interest organization backing the country's development of ocean-traversing autonomous ships. It aims to see crewless ships make up to 50% of Japan's local fleet by 2040. With the foundation's backing, a group that includes Japan's largest shipping company, Nippon Yusan KK, plans to have a container ship pilot itself from Tokyo Bay to Ise, a coastal city in central Mie Prefecture. In February, according to Nippon Yusan, a 380-kilometer or 236-mile voyage will be the world's first test of an autonomous ship in the area with heavy marine traffic. This also would take out deaths, as far as deaths related to, at sea crashes and things like this. That's a good thing. But all those thousands and probably millions of people that work in this industry, less good. Less good for them.
Well, I do think that the life insurance policy on pirates for piracy will go down, because now they can actually do it from a computer. They don't actually have to go commandeer a ship with weapons and a chintzy boat.
Jeez. It's like, how many of these kind of things are going to happen? I mean, this is just insane. One thing, though, it says the global market for autonomous shipping could grow to be worth about $166 billion by 2030. So you may want to invest in some of these autonomous shipping companies. Don't know. Not advice, though. But I would see that. I would see that just absolutely jumping out of nowhere. And people are like, where did this come from? Man, oh man. Thank you so much. Gone Girl 777. Say al-kadadada. I will. Al-kadadada. That's actually a good way to say it. Al-kadade. Al-Kadadi? Al-Kadadi, that's a good one. Defrustrated, no food shortage, government shortages. Fakes. That's defrustrated. Me Puppet 07, convoys in trucking is illegal. I should know. Now it is. They are actually practicing they're making the machines, which would be all one thing. Who knows? Maybe they'll create special highways for them by themselves. Twilight Zone for sure. Gone Girl 777 says that. Thank you. So I would actually like to know, so why is that illegal? Is that illegal because it's dangerous? I would assume it's super dangerous. J-Star Oregon says, Anu Uno Minnesota. Thanks, Marv. Anu Minnesota. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And then Defrustrated says, it was a sellout by Boone and Oh Bummer office. Bullsh. I agree with that. Michelle K. T-Ban taking prize picks. Dang, so sad. Defrustrated, do you remember when Oh Bummer was in office and he did the last press dinner, the conference dinner or whatever with the press, where they crack jokes? And he said, oh, the fall of the Republic has never looked so good. That wasn't a joke. Neither were his drone jokes either. And Gone Girl says, have faith. Agree with that. They flying on them first day. Trader in the White H. Again, thank you, Cynthia Lynn. Thanks for being a part of that group. Thank you so much for going above and beyond. Osbo, Renegade PD, and Angela 1609. Thank you, everybody. Man who killed Lyft driver may have been inspired by a foreign T group organization, Dallas FBI says. It says, Garland, Texas, a note left by the vehicle of a Lyft driver who was banged and killed Sunday, August 29th, suggests that the murder suspect may have been inspired by a foreign T organization, said Matthew DeSano, special agent in charge of FBI Dallas. Authorities on Monday identified the Lyft driver and the shooter, who was later shot and killed by Plano, at police headquarters. The driver, Isabella Lewis, 26, of Garland, was taken and killed by Imran Ali Rashid, 32, when she went to pick him up. So this is, let me zoom out here. That is her, and I'm praying for her wherever she is now, and I hope she's in the right place. Very, very sad. Isn't that weird? You know what's even weirder is that she's wearing the shirt saying, all right, all right, all right. If you are a longtime Foogle fam, then you know why that's weird. A lot of things have been just randomly popping up, like affirmations 1111. The driver, Isabella Lewis of Garland, was taken by this guy, Imran al-Rashid, when she went to pick him up, police said. DeSarno said that the Dallas FBI Joint T Force has joined the investigation by the Plano and Garland police departments to see what led to the taking of her life and if it was an act of T-ism. Rashid may have been inspired by a foreign organization to commit these acts. Haven't found any evidence he was directed by or in contact with these actors, these foreign T actors. He was inspired by the rhetoric. He wasn't directed to do this. At this point, we do not believe the suspect was provided assistance by others or that others were involved in the incident. Well, it's not like this was a genius act of something. He did Uber or whatever, or Lyft, and then had the person come to his house and then bang, bang. That doesn't take a criminal mastermind, but it also is something that could happen just normally, and then they take somebody like this or a fake name like this or Chinese NPC picture of somebody and say that this happened, and then slowly, more and more, all of this T-ism stuff starts popping up, just like it did after 9/11, September of 2001, where we started seeing all this stuff and saying it's related to this, and then they go, oh, well, we need to get more into your phones. We need to protect you, and to protect you, we need to have access to your cameras on your phones. In fact, we need everyone's help to catch these guys. You might be the next victim. So if we can we have access to your cameras and do it publicly and so we can watch everything that's going on, and we have this Batman system that's going to catch all the terrorists, and yeah, just a guess. Dex, what's your guess?
I could be off here, but when you think about the UK and what had happened over there over the last couple of years, we heard a lot about these knifing incidents, right? And it's easy for them to, whether they labeled it that or not, it was easy to put the broad strokes of the T on it, right? What I'm wondering is, are we going to start to see that picture painted here, real or not, but painted, except replace the knife with the device that was used here, and then use it as a mechanism to reduce the amount of those items, those bang bangs in our country, right? Is this going to be the new, litmus, or the new impetus to bring about, what they've been trying to do that never really happened with all the other events that kept going on in our country?
I agree with you. I think that we could very well paint all of this into something that it's not. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're watching the replay and you're still here, I just want to say thank you, and God bless you. Thank you for everybody that sticks around the next day. It is live. It's about 9:16 p.m. on August 31st, and I just want to say thank you. Well, actually, it's September 1st in New York, so thank you everybody that is already watching tomorrow, now, today, yesterday. You're watching yesterday from today. And by the way, this is CBS. Did you proofread this thing? There is no indication Rashid and Lewis knew each other. You forgot the K, bud. Maybe they took all K's out because now K's are racist. Top two FDA officials, or top two top FDA officials in charge of the to leave agency this fall. One day after a mysterious crash where airspace was closed down and they came in with the Department of Defense, one day after that, magically two officials in charge of leading the approval review of the applications will leave the agency this fall, according to an internal email announcing the departures obtained by STAT. It says the officials, Marion Gruber and Phil Krause, collectively have more than 42 years of experience at the FDA. Gruber has served as the director of the agency's Office of V Research and Review since 2011. According to her LinkedIn profile, Krause has served as her deputy since 2010. Both were directly involved in managing the review of the vaccine applications. Dex.
It's definitely worth looking into. Pay attention. What's going to happen here?
It's kind of weird. And this is absolutely hilarious. To end on a good note,
you guys work for
Dex. This literally got me. It says some kids pranked a school board meeting on some Bart Simpson and I am crying. Check this out. You'll get exactly why.
us in this environment. You answer to us, and I'm asking that you do not pass this policy in Virginia.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thomas. We do appreciate you. Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken. Souk Mahidik. Ophelia McHawk. Ophelia McHawk. Eileen Dover. Eileen Dover.
And did what?
Don Kiddick. Don Kiddick. Wayne Kerr.
Wayne Kerr.
Wayne Kerr.
Wayne Kerr. Wayne Kerr. Just thought after all the negativity, we would leave you with some positivity. Let's get our next caller on. We have, of course, Kathy, FTC, first-time caller, veteran family who is pissed off at the admin and what's happening in Afghanistan. Kathy's calling from Indiana. What is going on? Kathy, you can pop in. By the way, thank you, Ambertrax, waterproof Bibles and hurricane survival supplies, ambertrax.com. That's amber like the color, and tracks like railroad tracks, ambertrax.com. Thank you, Ambertrax, for your support of the channel.
Hi, Adam. This is Kathy.
Hey, Kathy. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I've been patiently waiting and reading the messages on your website and listening to what you have to say. And every time I hear anything or read anything, I learn a little bit more. But here's the thing with me. I'm a veteran. I'm 62 years old. My entire family line goes back before the Revolutionary War. We serve our country. This thing that has happened, and it didn't just start a week ago. I saw this coming a long time ago, and it's hard for somebody who has not served their country it's hard to relay the words to people who never had to do anything. They just live their life and count on us to do for them. And so I'm seeing all of these things from 18 months ago in a group meeting with other veterans, where I said to the person running the group, our country is going down. And he said, well, we don't want to talk about that right now. We have other things to talk about. And I said, well, you might not want to talk about it now, but you're going to have to talk about it. And everything that I said, because I kind of wouldn't stop talking, so everything that I said ended up being true. And I have a son who spent a year in Afghanistan in the Army at a forward operating base. I haven't even tried to ask him what he thinks about this, because if he doesn't ask me, his mother, then I know that he doesn't want to talk about it, and I'm not going to bring it up for him to talk about it, because there's nothing any of us can do. This administration, I'll just leave it at that. And I don't know how many people that are on your site that listen to you. I don't know how many people know that just about everybody who advises this administration, they are all corporate people. So you're dealing with HR, now running the United States of America. And this is what happens. I'm just going to say that. But it's the truth. And if you look and do your research, you'll find it out. All of these people are from, they're all just corporate people. And corporate people are always just the bottom line. The bottom line. Get everything we can out of what we have to do, and then we can just bail, and it doesn't matter because we'll get more people in to do more things. So that was kind of devastating. I just learned that a couple of days ago, and it was kind of devastating to me. And I was like, well, it explains a lot, because I couldn't understand why things are happening the way they're happening. There is never a time in the history of the United States where we left hundreds or thousands of Americans and brought over hundreds of thousands of aliens. We always get ours out first and then get everybody else out. That didn't happen this time. How come? I don't know. I can't talk to my son. I don't even want to. I'm going to wait for him to call me. I'm his mom. I brought him up. Both of my kids are veterans. I'm a veteran. We serve. My entire family line goes back to the Revolutionary War. We serve our country. We believe in our country. It's very, very, very hard for me to live with what's happening. It's very hard. And I try to just look at the facts. We have all of this equipment that was left there, these planes, these vehicles, these weapons, and everybody can say, well, yeah, sure they left planes, but, those planes can be sold. They can be sold to China and Russia or anybody else who wants to find out how to. They'll sell a plane, and these people will take it, and they will take it apart, and they will figure out how we use. They'll figure out all the science behind our vehicles. Even if the Taliban or ISIS or who knows, those people have access to these vehicles. They might not be able to use them, but they can sell them. In the meantime, the stuff they can use, they're going to use. And it's not going to be pretty. We've left potentially, and I'm saying potentially because I haven't heard, and I've been looking. There are school kids from California who are just over there, and they were left there. School kids with their families. They're not. They're not a high priority, right? They don't know people. They were just there, and they might still be there. And we've brought over several hundred, I don't know, too many Afghanis and not enough Americans. There's still Americans over there. There are special forces people who brought their own planes and brought their own people over to rescue Afghanis and Americans against the wishes of the administration. The administration, once they found out that was happening, they told, I think it was Turkey they were taking them to, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. They said, no, you can't take anybody, right? The administration is going against these people who are going in. These are all special forces, retired people who said, I worked with those people and I'm going to save them. And the administration said, no, you can't do that, right? So that's our administration. That's our administration. That's who's running our country. For the first time in the history of the United States of America, Great Britain gave our president a vote of no confidence. That has never happened in the history of our country. We did not just leave Americans, and I'm not minimizing the Americans. We also left all of our allies. So there is no country in the world right now who will count on our country. And there's nothing any of us can do because we are law-abiding citizens, so we follow the law, right? It's a bad piece of beef to have to eat right now. As a veteran, as somebody who believes in my country, somebody who believes in the law of the land, but the law of the land, the LAW word doesn't seem to apply to anybody in this land. It only applies to the people who have the money, who are ruling. And I think the biggest fight that I have to take right now is the fact that there's no recourse. There's no redress. There's no law, because our law has let us down. Our politicians have let us down. All they want to do is talk, but they don't do anything. And all you have to do is look at any politician that's in Washington right now. Look at any politician. Because we're law-abiding. And just look at the history of their constituents. Ask yourself, have these people's lives been empowered by this politician? And the answer is no. But you look at certain politicians, and I'm not going to name names, but they're multi-millionaires. The only job they ever had was politics. Why is that? Because the best way to make money is to make war. Why do you make war? Because you are money laundering. And our sons and daughters are dying. And there's, we believe that we are protecting our country, and we are, in a way. Because we're convincing everybody on earth that we are powerful. And in 9 months, our entire country has been decimated. In 9 months, the history of us has been decimated in the face of the world, because we left allies. We left our own people, and we left allies while we just ran. They abandoned the country in the middle of the night and didn't tell the politicians they were doing it. And this is what's happened. And I have to find a way to bring it up with my son. The fact that it's been this long, it's only been, a week, and he hasn't called me to talk about it. I know this is not going to be a good and an easy conversation. It's very difficult for me to try to come to grips with this, because I've served my country, and as my whole family has, because that's what we do, because none of us can be here without the people who serve, right? So then you serve. For as long as you want, you serve. And now, this is the most incredible and unbelievable outcome. It's unbelievable. I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot of vets out there that are going, what? We can't even process what has just happened. This is unbelievable. And our administration are just going, yeah, well, that's what it is. So it's a painful thing. It's a painful moment. We didn't just leave ourselves, our kids, American people who are still there. They were told on day one, shelter in place. And when I'm talking about these kids from California, and I can say, I don't know if they got out or not, because I haven't heard, and I've been looking, and I haven't heard anything. That's a bad thing. those people, they're not diplomats. They're just tourists. And they're told shelter in place, so they shelter in place. And then the administration gives the names and addresses of every American in that country. It's a hit list. Those people don't know that. I'm devastated. This might be, 13, 15, I think it's 13, high school kids who are on a field trip. They're stuck there. And their parents, they're not diplomats. They don't know. They don't know how to read between the lines. They're told to shelter in place, and they do. And what does the administration do? They give the names and addresses of everybody who's still in the country, because please let these people come to. We're just given a manifest. We're telling you who, when they come, those are those people, right? Well, to my knowledge, they didn't get out. We're going to see them on Twitter next week being brutalized. That's what's going to happen. They're trying to demoralize the United States. Nobody can demoralize it more than the administration. And so I've been talking a lot, and I haven't heard anything because I just have my phone on and I turned everything off. I don't know if you're responding.
That's okay. No, I was listening, and
15.
Honestly, I can't. There's not much I can say. In the first 1 minute of your call, you definitely had me intrigued. That I just, I honestly, I don't think I've met anybody. I guess I'm an empath because I feel your pain. I feel you've actually. I'm kind of speechless. The way that you feel about this country is utterly and absolutely amazing. And I'm just unbelievably amazed with you.
Somebody else we serve. And I believe we all should serve. I believe that. Because then you have a dog in the fight. And at least if you have a dog in the fight, there's a chance. But I'll tell you this one thing that's kind of inspiring. It's not the dog in the fight. It's the fight in the dog. That's what wins.
Absolutely amazing, amazing call, Kathy. Kathy, we're running up on 2 hours, so we do have to cut this short. Again, thank you so much for calling in, Kathy. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for how you feel about this country. Thank you for not only your service, but your family's service. And please don't ever give up faith. There are good people out there just like you that do care.
Yes. Yes, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of me out there. And hundreds of thousands of me are waiting. And when the shit hits the fan, we are going to be there.
Kathy.
That's all I can say.
Thank you so much for calling in tonight. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate you. I've been watching you for a long time, and you're the only person I've ever called into. I appreciate you.
You have a wonderful night, Kathy. I'm praying for you, and I'm praying for your son, and I'm praying for your whole family. Thank you.
Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is
Everyone that tuned in tonight, that was an amazing call, amazing family of people there. Just a moment of silence for families like hers. You have a wonderful night. Again, Dex, thank you for your service tonight. Can you tell us about the web-only content?
And great caller. Hey, lots of things going on web-only content. So if you're not familiar, go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail on the show, as Adam showed you in the beginning, scroll down to the web-only content, and you'll find everything else we can't talk about. Just like we heard Kathy tell us about some possibility of some school children that were on, I guess, visit or a mission or something, or are unaccounted for. There's also a story right now about a congressman, a certain congressman who may be mixed up in that, being left behind as he went in with others to try to help. So lots of other things going on that we cover in this area, things that we either couldn't get into the show, or maybe they're two-sided, or they're just not safe for TV and we can't really cover it on the main show. So go take a look. A lot of political things happening right now. The world is, in my opinion, it's very interesting. 10 years ago, or I should say 20 years ago, we had an event and we all became very united. And here we are 20 years later, and we have another event, and it seems like we are all of a sudden extremely divided. And ultimately what's happening in on a lot of these things are, a lot of people will call them distractions or reasons for certain other things to happen. And it's just, keep your eyes open, keep your faith. Right now, vets and folks like that really need the hugs and love, and to be told that they were valuable and that we appreciate them. So I hope we all have that opportunity, if you know or see one, to do and spread that message. So, but again, head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail, scroll down to web-only content, and you'll find the rest of the show.
Thank you so much, Dex. Just wanted to pop in. This was very interesting to me. Dex sent this to me. In Satanic Rituals, they stand certain feet apart and wear masks. This little clip talks about hand washing and how it's part of actual rituals, basically symbolically washing yourself of your previous beliefs, right? And the 6, you can tell why that is a thing. And then the mask basically saying that they are a servant of them and leaving their old self behind. They're just follower. Very crazy. I just thought it was funny because they actually talk about how there is no real scientific reason backing up that whole thing. So I just thought that was interesting. Tons of really good stuff down there. Dex, how much time do we have left, if any, or are we past?
We're not past, but we're getting close. We got about 10 minutes.
All right. Well, we're going to do a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. Remember, you can actually join the live chat. The show continues past 2 hours. It actually continues once it's cut off here on Marfoogle Jams. Or you can pop over to DLive, which continues until the very end of the shoutro. I do want to thank Cynthia Lynn tonight and Gone Girl 777 for their, of course, support for our show tonight. Thank you again. Thank you, Veteran Steve, which I did miss you off in the very beginning. But I don't forget. I really do appreciate you. Gunpowder Productions, thank you for your support. Timothy Cybers says, enjoy your reporting, Marf and Dex. Lisa Marie S. says, I heard YouTube takes 30%, so I started sending via PayPal. Is that right? They do take 30% of every super chat. That is right. PayPal does take less, but it is up to you. We appreciate the support no matter what means it comes across. But some people actually prefer, supporting or they're specifically not supporting through a certain place because they don't want to support that certain place. But either way, thank you for your support. Desiree Miller, Beth Bowie, thank you so much, you guys. Thank everybody. Granny C, thanks for opening up the show. And then Veteran Steve, again, first one in, says, all affected by Ida and other events in thought and prayer. 3 tornadoes in my area between yesterday and today. Much love to the fam. Marf, Dex, thanks for all you do. Stay discerning, vigilant, and positive. Catherine Wilson says, you are a gift. God's blessing to you, your family, and Dex. Thank you. And that really means a lot to me. I am dead serious. That woman, I could feel her pain. What an amazing woman. Kathy is. Kathy, I just really appreciate you. No joke. That got to me. The way that you think about this country, I think a lot of people could learn from, and they could learn in their own country, whatever country you're from. If more people were like that, I think that we would have a lot more culture here. And what she said, I will just say this one last time. When she said that obviously all the people that are supporting the admin and all this are corporate, that HR is running the country, think about what everything is going on. The cancel culture, the anything. It's basically like you have the worst corporate job, and HR is like if you make a joke or something, you're fired or you're suspended because you made a joke about this or that. Only it's running the entire world right now. You can't say anything. That's not freedom of speech. HR, there's a reason why that's at work. That's a professional setting. And the bottom line, that's a perfect point. They don't care. Somebody says, well, why would they put all this money into it? They're getting the bottom line. They're going to make all their money, and then they don't care. They are personally richer. Everybody involved is personally richer. They sit up on their mountain. They sit in their super subs. They sit on their super yachts. They don't give a crap about you. So remember that. Thank you, guys. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not a shout-out. It's not an outro. It's a shoutro.
Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. Winston Dupree, you shall eat the bugs and own nothing, and you'll like it, yeah. World Economic Forum, World Economic Forum. Desiree Miller and the Dogecoin economy. Don't back down and the dawns of me. Thanks for subscribing. Nearly 90 retired generals and admirals just penned an open letter asking the Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Miller to resign, and he should. Fox, Granny C, and Monica Kelly, Laura Byington, Carson and family. Thank you for your support. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. Holiday Kisser and Diane Fleming, Island by the Sea and Ziegler B. Too legit to be, too legit to be. Amy Holly and Miss Becca, Missy P and Shastina. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. What's her name? 45 tree hugger, Jim, everybody able-bodied. Nona Madison and Mr. Stardotty, and everybody thought me and Jeremy James. Malicious and red 1967. I've got the Veronica Powers, Mom of 9 behind me, and Penny G by my side. This is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget. What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you, you will forget.
Able-bodied and the Jupiter 5. Everybody gonna be by your side. Cindiana and the Blowtorch Barbie and the JW. Save yourself, sheep, and I've been yet seen. Gonna bring it down, drink your Ovaltine. Gonna bring it down, G-Shot and Lurker One. Going back and I'll be fine. Bow, bow. Hunger cheap as heaven, hunger cheap as heaven. 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 B-Bar Road in the Blowtorch Barbie. I'm right back with the HD Hardy. I'm on now Angela 1609. Pheno B in the Paul Barrett Mine. Iron Gonzalez and the Roman War. Darren Hill and the Malin Romero. Gonna be a back down now, a sparrow. Gonna drop a patrol on the mountain. Now a liches Lurker One. Holiday kisser and everyone. Highland by the Sea in the Lisa R. Hall. Able-bodied Mr. Stall. Gonna bring it back like a Maui reading realtor. Going back round and about Ophelia. Home now is in down, they go down. Line Marita and a miss now bow.
What comes next is a great reset. Everything we told you,